And Sheena, I'll let you just kind of call off the names as you see them and to ask them to introduce themselves.
Okay, we're good. We can start.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sheena Parrish. I'm from AFCPE. Thanks for having us here today. Doug, did you want the students to all get unmuted to introduce themselves?
Yeah, why don't they, you just call out a student's name and have them, give them a second to unmute, and then they can
All right, sounds good.
Overview.
Well, the first one I'm seeing is, let's see, Lance, can you tell us hello?
Hello.
And where are you today? Where are you calling?
I am in Lincoln, Nebraska. I am in the Nebraska National Guard. So what actually brought me to this program is I wanted to get a master's, but really wasn't sure what. So I printed off an entire list of the master's classes at UNL and then just crossed off everything that I didn't want to do and did want to do, and then kind of saw family financial planning, and I was like, hey, this seems something that might be pretty interesting, because I've been not really big in financial planning kind of thing, but I really wanted to learn a lot more and help people and stuff like that, to do something more for community related, military related, to do more something financially. I'm not so much big on the financial planner side, but maybe like counseling side that I really want to get into more than anything.
Lance, why don't you tell the group and Sheena about your possibility you'll be doing next fall and spring?
I am right now, I applied for a position as a financial well-being coach at University in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's basically a volunteer position, but I'm hoping to be able to use that as the practicum course and help students at UNL. Basically, right now, there's a AFC that's in charge of it, but they've never really had students from the family financial program come and volunteer, but they've had biology students, psychology students. So it's a very new aspect that I'm bringing to her program, being from outside entities that haven't really been in this kind of program, but she's kind of unsure of where I'm going to be kind of put on like budgeting and stuff like that, or if she's going to integrate me more into the program versus just what normal students would be doing, of just like budgeting goals and stuff like that with students.
Great. That sounds like a great opportunity, and definitely something you could count towards your experience hours for the AFC for sure. All right.
Yep, for sure.
Oh, go ahead, Lance.
Nothing. I was just, yeah, it's quite a different thing compared to what I'm doing in the military. I'm a helicopter pilot for the military, so it's a completely separate thing compared to one versus the other. So people are very confused at times why I'm going into this program, and yet I'm a helicopter pilot in the military for the Nebraska National Guard.
Yeah, I feel like that is something we see a lot with people that we talk to that call in to AFCPE having questions about the AFC and opportunities that exist. We see a fair number of people who are kind of career changers. People who are interested in getting into the field, but it's something totally different from what they've done before. We see a variety, but that definitely happens. Well, my husband's he's an aviator as well in the Air Force. So I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's at Nellis Air Force Base. So have a little bit of a connection there, I guess.
Yeah, my wife boasts about me being a pilot and aviator as well all the time at her work.
Yeah, my husband's had a lot of friends who've gotten out and gone to the airlines over the years, and right now he's feeling like, okay, I feel like I made a good choice to hang around, because one of his buddies at the airline said it's going to be a little different in the hiring realm here in the coming years with everything, obviously, that you guys know that it's going on. Well, very cool, Lance. Thanks for giving an introduction. Just to make sure we have time for everybody, I'll go ahead and just move it to Susan. How about you?
All right. Hi. I'm Susan Keltner, and I would be another career changer. My background obviously is not in finance, hence the change. I started in broadcast journalism after I got my bachelor's, and I was a broadcast journalist for a long time until I had kids, and then I stayed home with my kids. But also during that time, I worked for Weight Watchers, and that's kind of one of the ways I found my way to financial planning. I had an interest in financial planning just, personally. But then working as a Weight Watchers leader, I started to see a lot of parallels between just working with people on goal setting, making the behavior changes necessary to reach those goals, and really just seeing kind of the whole process of laying out a plan and then achieving it. And so I began to think that maybe that was really, if I put that together with my personal finance interests, that maybe there was a really good fit there. So I started, again, Google. I just Googled financial planning degrees. I was living in Alaska when I started looking, and in a small town where I couldn't have gone to school in person. So the online aspect of this program was really appealing to me, and ended up pursuing it and hopefully finishing it soon. So that's kind of where I'm at, but I haven't really figured out where I'm going after this. So I'm not really sure. Like I said, the counseling element really does appeal to me. So I'm kind of hoping that things will fall into place here.
Yeah, part of what we're going to talk a little bit about today are some of the options, like some of the different career pathways that you could take with the designation, and with some of your goals, and what you're interested in doing, kind of incorporating sort of the wellness and thinking of the financial piece as a component of overall wellness. So yeah, I'll definitely, in summary, I should mention here is my colleague at AFCPE. So we're going to just kind of share with you guys some of the different career options, and probably you'll find something that kind of fits with your goals and what you want to do.
I'm glad to be able to have this opportunity to talk to you guys, because it is something that I'm interested in.
Great. All right, so Nicole, why don't you go ahead if you're ready?
Hi, actually, I'm Charlie. I think I'm using my wife's Zoom. I have no idea how it works in this day and age, so I'm doing the best that I can, but I'm actually a previous student of Mr. Nelson's, and I am also a career changer.
Cool. Well, and you said your name
There it
is,
is.
oh, there we go.
I'm in outer space as
And
well.
you are not Nicole, you are do you say
Charlie? Yes.
Charlie. Okay, great. Stephen?
Hey, Steve McGinnis, also a former student from Doug's, graduated with my master's from Kansas State financial planning back in 2018. Currently active duty Army, infantry task force commander here at Fort Benning, Georgia. And I got a little while before I look for a new career, but eventually when I do get out, one of my goals right now is to do some financial counseling for young service members.
So Steven, did you find the link on the Nelson's Pub LinkedIn link? Is that how you found out about this?
Yeah. I still follow you on LinkedIn, and I saw the virtual pub, and I was like, I'm all about a virtual pub.
So just FYI for you new students, there's on LinkedIn, there's a Nelson's Pub link that I continue to send stuff out and make announcements like this. So feel free to join in.
All right. Bianca, how about you?
Hi, thank you so much for doing this. I am an auditor for the state of Iowa. I'm in Des Moines, and I recently went back to school like 5 years ago to become an accountant, and yeah, just looking to do something that I feel serves a little more. So thank you.
Great, thanks. And what about you, John?
I am finishing this program in the next week, and then immediately starting my transition. I accepted a job a few weeks ago with New York Life as a financial advisor, or they call it an agent, I guess, but the same thing. So, but yeah, and I'm currently in Norman, Oklahoma, where I'm from, but I'm doing this program through Iowa State in Ames. So I also need to move out of there in the next couple of weeks and into Tulsa, which is where I'll be working with New York Life.
Great. Congrats on finding an opportunity, and I know that that now might not be the easiest time for that. So, and also I love your virtual background there. I think that's one of the
Thank
best
you.
I've seen.
I got a bunch of stuff behind me. I'm in like a half attic / converted office, and the office is like this way. So behind me is all the attic stuff. And I got a treadmill behind me and all kinds of boxes. So covered it up.
We would never know.
Exactly.
John, were you just missing tornado season, so you decided to go back to Norman for the spring?
Yeah, God, we love tornadoes down here. No, I was home for spring break, and everything's been canceled day by day since then. So my brother and I haven't gone back yet. So, but now when I do go back, I'll be moving back to Oklahoma, just in a different city. So.
Thanks, John. And it looks like maybe the last one, hopefully I haven't missed anybody, is Kim.
Hey, I'm Kim. I want to work with poor rural people, and there's no money in that, and I'm okay with this.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you guys are all here. Oh, sorry, Doug. Go ahead.
Kim's, I think I'm right, Kim, you're a Peace Corps, returned Peace Corps?
Yeah.
She's my first return. I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer as well. And so I've been doing this for 7 years, and she's my first RPCV that's come through the program.
We're the coolest people.
And she does have very interesting case studies. You all remember the case studies? None of them are like Kim's.
None of these people
Well,
took
maybe Summers.
with me.
Summers was kind of like Kim's.
Well, it's interesting because everybody kind of has a little bit of a different journey, different background, different goals coming from different industries. And I kind of have a little bit of an icebreaker. Actually, Summer, do you want to say, I want to let you say hi and introduce yourself too.
Hello to everyone. My name is Summer Red. I am the Professional Development Manager at AFCPE. So if you do anything related to education with us, Sheena handles all of the people who are trying to get certified from an education background. But if you're taking any kind of professional development courses or webinars, I'm the person who's getting those organized. So very glad to be here, and hello everyone.
All right, thanks, Summer. So I have a little bit of I did not know I was going to get the chance to actually have this be interactive and talk with you guys. So I really appreciate that, because I was in a conference, like a financial summit today, and the presenters were amazing, and that was awesome. But none of the participants, we didn't get to see each other. There was, not a lot of interaction. So I really appreciate this. And maybe you guys do too, sort of with the lack, especially with the lack of interaction, we're probably all sort of missing right now. So a little bit of an icebreaker. I've learned a little bit about each of you guys, but what I kind of want to know is, what did you want to be? Like when you were a kid and somebody asked you what you want to be when you grow up, what would you have answered? So let's give you all maybe a second or so to think about that. And then whenever you're ready, you can just unmute yourself and just go for it.
I wanted to be a best-selling author.
I wanted to be a librarian or a teacher.
I think a cowboy was my most frequent answer.
Police officer.
What was that?
Police officer.
Police officer. Okay, got it.
I wanted to be a sitcom writer for a little while.
Firefighter.
Anybody else? I know for me, just from personal experience, it was a veterinarian. My son right now, whenever he's 4, and whenever I ask him that, he says race car driver. So we kind of have a variety of professions. Some, um, like my son's is a little bit more sort of out there, kind of crazy. But we all kind of grow up wanting to do certain things, and now you guys are all working on, and we've sort of talked already, some of you guys have gone in and done different things professionally, and now you're in a place where you're working on a degree or finished with a degree in family financial planning. So obviously there was something that drew you to the field, and Kim kind of touched on hers a little bit, wanting to help low-income people. And I'm sure you all have different motivations. Susan brought up, kind of integrating that wellness piece. I know for me, it was sort of happenstance how I sort of fell into this field. I was one of those college students that in my undergrad, I kind of jumped around from a couple different majors. I thought I was going to maybe be a nurse, or had this sort of an interest in medical professions. Wanted to be a veterinarian. Then I realized, like, I am really, really bad at science. This is just not going to happen for me. Ended up getting my degree in human development and family science, going into the helping professions, worked a little bit in social work, and then ended up moving overseas to Germany as a part of my husband's military career. And a job opened up at the Airmen and Family Readiness Center. It was at Spangdahlem Air Base. And it was, community readiness specialist was the position title. When I was a kid, I probably never would have said, like, I want to be a community readiness specialist when I grow up. Didn't even know that existed. So I get in this position and realized that I'm going to be doing financial counseling and education. And I didn't have a background in that at all. In fact, at that time in my life, I didn't know the password to my bank account. I was kind of out of tune with that piece of my life. So it kind of started a journey for me, an interest, and it's kind of led to here. So I know for you guys, it's probably all been, your own unique journey, and it's still evolving. But hopefully, I can share with you some information today that'll kind of help give you some ideas of some different prospects, different ways that you can utilize the AFC designation professionally, and to kind of get you where you want to go. So I wanted to I have a just brief slideshow to share with you to kind of maybe appeal to some of the visual folks, visual learners in the group. So if you don't mind, I'm going to actually share that here. And let's see if this works. I'm going to show you this short video. I like many of you, I'm still learning my way around Zoom and seeing all the different things. So let's see if this works for you.
AFCs are students, young professionals, social workers, educators, financial counselors, advisors, advocates, leaders, change makers. You. AFC certification makes a difference in your career, so you can make a difference in the lives of others. To find out how to complete your AFC certification, visit afcpe.org.
All right, so with all of the different things you guys have told me so far, I think one of the common denominators for people who are pursuing the AFC is just that sort of helper's heart, wanting to help people. So whether that's people in rural populations like Kim mentioned, or maybe some of you who might go the route of helping service members and their families, kind of like how I found myself in that field. That really is kind of the common thread with what our AFC professionals are doing out in the field. So I'm going to just share with you guys a little bit about the organization, about AFCPE, in case you're not too familiar with us yet. I want to tell you a little bit about some of the aspects of the organization, different opportunities that might be available with the AFC, a little bit about who we are. So the mission of AFCPE is to ensure the highest level of knowledge, skill, and integrity of the personal finance profession. So I'm kind of committing a terrible presentation foul by reading this off to you, because I know you guys are all in grad school. You can read this yourself, but we basically see the role of the AFC is making sure that all people have access to qualified financial, professionals. And so that's what our AFCs are. We've got some pictures here of AFCs from the student level to maybe people who are working at the university setting. These are some pictures of our AFCs and AFC candidates from our last conference. So we have a symposium every year, and so this was from our 2019 symposium in Portland, Oregon. So there's basically, as Summer kind of alluded to, there's sort of two aspects of what AFCP does. We serve our members, and then we serve our AFC candidates and certified professionals. So I'm kind of in that certification realm, and Summer's in that other side, in that membership side. And as you can see on the side here, we have AFC professionals working in a variety of different capacities. So some of the big ones are in higher education, so possibly teaching at a university, or working at a working in cooperative extension at a university, providing financial education maybe on a more community level, sort of to a broad audience. We see them also working commonly in financial aid offices, providing information and education to students, kind of on that, obviously, that beast of how am I going to pay for school, talking about student loans, all of those types of things. So there's some opportunities there in higher ed. Military financial counselors, that's a big piece. Both on there are contractors who are kind of working in that space. Doug, and we were chatting earlier, mentioned folks who work with Ziders. That's a big contractor that hires AFC professionals to provide education and counseling to the military and military families. And usually that's in the form of one-on-one consultations. So speaking from someone who did that personally, I was a GS, I was actually a federal employee. So I wasn't a contractor, but there are opportunities on both sides of that. And my job was, I did a lot of one-on-one consultations, or even with couples. I also did a fair amount of presentations and workshops. That was a little bit of a hurdle for me to jump over. I'm more of a one-on-one person, so that was a challenge to really build those skills. But I think I got a lot better at it when I went through the AFC program, because I was actually able to hold the credential. Kind of, I gave people that warm fuzzy that I'd passed a test, I had experience hours, I knew what I was doing. So that got a lot better for me, doing briefings to a bunch of military members that were all staring at me. That was a little intimidating at first, but I got a lot better at it once I was really comfortable with the information I was sharing. We also have a lot of AFC professionals working at banks and credit unions. We're seeing sort of a trend in banks and credit unions wanting their employees to be more knowledgeable about personal finance topics, and kind of help guide their members and customers a little bit better. We see a lot of folks working in research, also kind of sort of tied to that university or higher education category. Private practice is a big one. We have a lot of folks who, I can think of one of our board members specifically has a private practice, and it's kind of geared more towards that military demographic. But as Susan mentioned earlier, I've I've talked to people who are kind of have a holistic sort of a wellness sort of a practice, and finances are a component of that, and they want to incorporate that piece. So there's a lot of people doing it in different ways, and we have lots of nonprofit organizations. And you know, we do have AFCs who are also certified in another capacity, maybe a CFP or a chartered financial consultant. They may hold another designation. And this is something that they basically kind of add to their tool belt and, you know, add that sort of softer side of finance. You know, obviously we know that just giving information to people doesn't always do the trick. So pulling in some of those counseling or coaching practices to guide people is a great opportunity for people who may already have that personal finance foundation through another designation. This kind of just builds them up and builds their skills in other areas. So membership is a great opportunity that's available whether you are certified as an AFC or not. You can be a member and not certified, or you could be certified and not a member. So I would highly encourage you guys, for those of you who, because are you all, Stephen, were you done with the program? Refresh my memory. Or are you still taking classes?
No, I finished back in 2018.
Okay, so for students, for those of you who are still students, you're eligible for student membership, which is $35 a year. Pretty good price point to be able to access all the things listed here. You get that networking piece. We have monthly meetups with members. There are mentorship opportunities. One of the big ones, and Summer, feel free to jump in. Summer works hard to make sure we have a lot of great professional development opportunities and webinars. So Summer, if you want to say anything about that, you are more than welcome.
Of course. So all of our webinars are for professional development. Webinars are designed to meet CEU requirements, continuing education requirements. And so they're really targeted towards some specialized areas of financial planning. So for example, in May, we have recognizing elder abuse in the case of financial abuse. We have a couple of military ethics webinars coming up. We have webinars from CFPs in partnership with FPA. We do a partnership webinar once a month, and those can be really interesting topics that are great for people who are CFPs or AFCs. So we just have a whole range of offerings, and we work hard to make sure that nobody gets bored on a single topic.
Thanks, Summer. Yeah, the webinars are an awesome way to just kind of focus on, you know, just continuing. As we know in this field, it's always a process of learning. It's never ending. You don't just, you know, complete your AFC or complete your CFP or complete your degree and then the learning ends there. I know personally I'm always learning new things.
Absolutely. And actually, speaking to that point, if you guys would like to check out one of our webinars, we actually have webinars on the CARES Act. That's that stimulus bill that passed. So if you're not entirely sure what's involved in that, there's a lot of free webinars on our YouTube channel. So just look up AFCPE in YouTube. Thank you, Sheena.
Thank you. So yeah, these are just some of the benefits of membership. And I'm going to speak to a few more, to some of those discounts and how that could help you when you decide if you decide you want to go for the AFC and get certified. So, and I want to throw this out there. If you guys have questions, I'm a questions throughout, you know, kind of a person, so don't feel like you have to wait till the end. If you have something that pops in your mind, interrupt me or throw it into the chat or something. And yeah, please don't hesitate to ask as we go through. This is kind of an open forum. So, all right, so AFC certification. So this is a pretty common theme with certification programs, the 4 E's, education, exam, experience, and ethics. And that goes with the AFC as well. The AFC is an accredited program through the NCCA. This basically means we have to hold our program to certain standards to make sure our test is psychometrically sound, to make sure that we're basically, dotting all our I's and crossing all of our T's as a certifying body. So we have the education component, which actually you guys are doing through your coursework in your family financial planning program. So that's how you guys would be meeting the education component, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that exactly means for you in a couple minutes. Then there's the exam. It's 165 questions. It's based on our job analysis that we did in 2014. This is basically what our AFC is doing in the field, and so what would you need to know to actually be out there, doing the work of an accredited financial counselor. So it's there. We have core competencies, and basically all of the test questions are tied back to those AFC core competency topics. It's a 3-hour time limit. You can take it whenever you're ready after you register. We don't offer like windows of exam testing. So you basically do it on your own time according to when it works for you. We have testing centers. We work with a testing company, and testing centers are, all throughout the US. So you should be able to find one pretty close to where you live, and, that would work on your agenda. There's an experience hours component. It's 1,000 hours of field experience. That's basically anything in the financial counseling and education realm. So I know for me, I mentioned, I was doing one-on-one appointments, and I was also doing education in the form of presentations and curriculum development. And I know Summer comes from that, educator standpoint. So Summer's experience hours were largely comprised of experience delivered in an educational setting. So there are a number of ways to get your experience hours. It could be paid, it could be volunteer. So we can, if you have questions about that, we can definitely address those as we go throughout. 3 letters of reference. So it's a supervisor letter, a peer or colleague letter, and then a client, so somebody you worked with. And again, those could be volunteer, people that you just, maybe it's a family member or a friend that you helped. These are different opportunities to sort of serve, and people do all kinds of different things to actually accumulate those hours. And then there's the oh, go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you show the 1,000 hours of experience, especially like on the volunteer side or something?
That's a common question. Sometimes people get concerned because they're like, oh man, like what does this documentation actually look like? And what our system, the way our system is set up is you enter it in like a resume format. So say you volunteered for an organization, you would it's almost as though you're putting it into a resume. You'd say, this was the organization, this is how many hours I did, a description, over what time period. So you kind of enter it in almost as though you were putting it on your resume. We don't require an hour by hour accounting of every hour. We don't require you, and wouldn't frankly want you to put in any kind of names just for confidentiality purposes. So for me, like whenever I did a one-on-one, I kind of just had a tracking. I had an Excel spreadsheet going. I tracked things one by one, did a briefing for this squadron, 2 hours, did a one-on-one consult. And so when I entered mine, and this was years ago, but it was basically Airmen and Family Readiness Center, Spangdahlem, Germany, from this time to this time. These are the tasks I was doing, and I kept my spreadsheet more of a as a tracking mechanism to know when I reached that point in time where I was ready to go ahead and submit my hours and finish the certification steps. Does that answer your question?
It does. Sounds like I need to start my Excel spreadsheet.
Well, and another thing you can do also is you can count hours from the past. So say Stephen, you decided, all right, you know what, I'm going to get on the path to getting this designation. Say you signed up today. you could go back 2 years from today and count previous hours earned. So it does allow you to kind of have a look back period and take advantage of things you've already done. And then you have the entire time while you're a candidate, which for you guys under the university pathway, you would have 3 years from registration to finish the designation and get any other experience hours.
So it's a 3-year look back. Is that what you said?
It's a 2-year look back, and then 3 years while you're a candidate. If you end up being a candidate that long. So some people, by the time they go to register, maybe they got all the hours already in the past, you know. So maybe for them it's more of a taking the exam and then just getting everything documented kind of a process. For me, when I did mine, I was working full time, and I actually ended up going back to school at that time too. Who was it who said there? Was it John, who's in Norman, Oklahoma?
Yes.
I thought that's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
At the military base I was at, I went to University of Oklahoma and did my master's. And so for me, it took about 2 years. I was, had a lot going on. So it varies from person to person. We see some people who come in and knock it out pretty quick, and then others who might take a little bit longer. So just kind of looking at some of the reasons people become certified. The bottom, just credibility. AFCPE, if you look into financial counseling, the AFC has been around since 1993. So it is, and we've been a accredited program since 2015. So it definitely is, a standard in the industry in the way of financial counseling. And as Summer alluded to before, just the network and the professional development are just some of the reasons that people end up going for certification. The code of ethics, I didn't really touch on that. So, but that's basically, it is a key component of being certified, is ensuring that you are upholding standards and taking good care of people, essentially. So what does this mean for you guys? We have a special pathway to the AFC, and it's called the University Pathway. And this is specifically for universities and colleges that have applied to get their curriculums basically pre-assessed to ensure that they cover the AFC core competencies, so that any student coming from any of our 26 universities and colleges, any of their students who are a part of our registered education programs will have been exposed to the AFC core competencies during the time they were in school taking the specific classes, and that that's essentially prepping you for the exam. So because Great Plains IDEA went to the effort to go through the application process, get the curriculum assessed, it gives you guys this unique pathway that is much more economical than the traditional pathway. So our most common pathway is self-study, and that usually is about, for most people, if it's around $1,400 to pursue the designation. For students who have the university pathway option available to them, you basically can complete the designation for $490. There's a $50 registration fee, and I think I have a slide that'll communicate this a little bit better in case you feel like you have to commit this to memory. I should have a slide here that'll outline it pretty well. But regardless of whether you're pursuing an undergrad degree or graduate, PhD, distance learning, certificate programs, we have all of them registered with us. It's a $50 registration fee, and then you basically just pay the exam fee, which you get a student rate of $440. So it's just a great opportunity if you're looking for if you're looking to communicate some credibility to future employers, if you just want to, access a great network of professionals with a similar vision, similar goals of, how you want to work in this field, it's a great option that's available to you. So I kind of went into all of these already, just some of the different some of the different ways that you could use the designation, I pretty much touched on most of these. I didn't really talk too much about campus financial literacy. That is kind of a theme that we're seeing, you know, universities opening up student money management centers, providing financial education on campus. And that's kind of outside of, you know, potentially even the financial aid piece. Credit counseling, I didn't touch on that. Taxes and VITA offices, didn't mention that. Employee assistance programs. So these are just going in, housing counseling, just a couple of additional options, things to maybe consider that if you haven't already. All right, so this is basically how to get started for you guys. This is specific to you guys as students in the Great Plains IDEA network, essentially. So the 2 required courses that fulfill the AFC educational competencies and requirements are the Fundamentals for Family Financial Planning and the Financial Counseling class. So if you have these 2 classes, you've met the educational requirements to, you know, get started. That essentially you could register and then schedule your exam. You'd be at that stage in the process. How do you get registered? So you basically go to our website. You'll see if you need me to, you know, give you the real specific way to navigate to it, I'm happy to do that. You just pull up the browser and kind of show you. But basically you'll go and you'll register for your AFC. And this is where student membership comes in handy. So say maybe you're not ready to register for the AFC right now. Maybe you haven't taken the classes, or maybe you just want to get a feel for the organization before you go ahead and register to become certified. You could sign up for student membership from our website for $35. All you have to do is upload your transcripts to show that you are a full-time student. So that is one of the requirements, because they want to make sure, you know, that this is reserved specifically for students. And once you become a member, you'll actually have this membership dashboard in AFC, your AFCPE profile. And from that dashboard, there's a tile, like a little button that you can click on for discounts. And because you're a student member, there's a discount that waives that AFC registration fee. So it kind of, you know, you kind of come out ahead right there for having, you know, student membership. You are eligible when you register for the AFC to purchase the online course. And that is essentially our online study guide to kind of help you navigate through and just make sure you feel comfortable with all the things that you know, all the general topics that you could potentially see on the exam. But that is optional, because for University Pathway students, you guys aren't required to purchase any materials. And once you're registered, we basically review your registration, make sure you passed your classes. We do have a requirement that this pathway is eligible only for students who are within 1 year post-graduation. If you are more than that, you're eligible for our financial education challenge with a transcript review fee waiver by coming from one of our registered programs. The only downside with that pathway is that you pay the regular exam rate, not the student rate. So the regular exam rate is $700. The student one, as I mentioned, is $440. Again, if you're a student member, there's a discount for $50 even off of this $440 rate. So I always like to kind of make sure people know that those discounts are there, because if you end up finding out about them later, it's like, oh man, I wish I knew that was out there. So you pass the exam, then your profile will open up the opportunity for you to enter in your experience hours. So that's kind of in a nutshell the process. Then you sign the code of ethics and we issue you your certificate. Summer, did you have anything to add, or do you feel like I covered it pretty well?
You covered it very thoroughly.
Maybe too thoroughly. Hopefully no one is, these folks with no cameras on, hopefully you guys aren't napping or anything. So this is basically kind of in a nutshell, the process. You know, we all have our kind of going back to the initial question I asked you guys, we all have sort of our own journey to how we got here in our careers. And so after talking a little bit today, if the AFC is something that you feel like would help you on your journey and you know, meeting clients where they are and accomplishing your professional goals, you have my contact info up on the screen. So please don't hesitate to reach out anytime. I talk with students regularly, email with students regularly, and can certainly shed more light on this process. If you are thinking about additional questions later, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we're just here to help you guys in your career goals, whatever they might be. So I really appreciate the opportunity. Doug, thank you so much for inviting us to be here today to talk with everyone. And I did actually have in case, you know, you guys were actually having a real happy hour, I was like prepared. So my husband brewed a Hefeweizen recently, so I've got one standing by in case that was like the true theme. So
I'll have to work on that. So tell students a little bit, and I'd be interested. You said someone on your board